feeling when the feeling comes. Got to feel it when the feeling comes. You got to feel it when the feeling comes. You got to feel it when the feeling comes. I guess I never got past that it doesn't last and I burn so much. Night after night the buzz, if it gets better, but the mornings get a little worse. Getting harder to keep my head above water and so easy to go back again. Living like I could give it away, and I gave all that I could spend. Don't always feel as good as I used to, but every now and then I get the feeling I should. Got to feel it when the feeling comes. Got to feel it when the feeling comes. You got to feel it when the feeling comes. You got to feel it when the feeling comes. Don't always feel as good as I used to, but every now and then I get that feeling I should, yeah. Don't always feel as good as I used to, but every now and then I get that feeling I should. Got to feel it when the feeling comes. Got to feel it when the feeling comes. You got to feel it when the feeling comes. You got to feel it when the feeling comes. You got to feel it when the feeling comes. You got to feel it when the feeling
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wolf's Den. Today we are Zooming with my good friends Blake Johnston and Christine Campbell, and we're going to talk about their self-titled album with the Black Market Band giving them some feedback in the background there on that album. And ladies and gentlemen, it's spectacular. So guys, how you making out?
Doing great.
Great. As well as we could be doing during the whole global pandemic.
Exactly. And today is like, here we are in early June, and we've got like an August day in Nova Scotia, right? Like nobody knows what to do with themselves. We just come out of the freezer and now we're right into the oven.
Yeah, this is quite the heat snap that we're in the middle of, which is that's probably a pretty good thing to have to complain about in June. So.
Well, you know what? Listen, to tell you the truth, I'm kind of glad to hear people complaining about the heat and the humidity. Because if they're complaining about that, they're not complaining about what they've been complaining about for the last year and a half. So yeah, it's kind of a nice, refreshing break.
It is, yeah. That's everywhere you turn, you end up in a conversation about it, and sometimes it can be easy to just kind of get down that same, the negative reinforcement. Even if you're not trying to be that way, it's just so hard to avoid it. So yeah. Well, let's complain about the weather again, which is back to the old Nova Scotia way, right?
Let's go back to what we used to complain about, the weather and the government.
Totally.
And taxes. No, listen, you know what? But speaking about a refreshing break, I got to say, I just absolutely love this project that you guys put together.
Well, thanks, Wayne.
Oh man, I turned it on and I got to feel it was the first song that I heard. And within 3 seconds in my notebook, I wrote down, bam!
Yeah.
Right in your face.
Yeah, good.
And then the next thing I noticed was you, young lady, your vocals. I mean, you've always been a good, strong singer with what you've been doing. But I got to tell you right now, wow. Every song that I listen to on this CD, I've got Christine's vocals written down beside them. The maturity in your voice over the last couple of years, like I really think, I mean, speaking for me, I'm not going to speak for you, but I really believe you've definitely found your stride here.
I do feel like I've sculpted something out. I feel like I sang a certain way most of my life. It was actually the bad way. And then eventually I had some trouble with my voice. I got a few lessons. I started doing a lot of research, and then I started going solo. So I did a different kind of gig. So most times I was singing a lot softer. I wasn't screaming my face off. And then now, like, I mean, I miss the scream. The scream is my favorite thing. Like Ian Gillan is like my favorite ever. But so finding something in between is really nice. Like, and I feel like I've actually done that. I will say every time there's a big break in between gigs, it does take a little bit of time to kind of get polished again and like be able to like sit and be comfortable and then get those tones sometimes when you sing live. So I'm looking forward to playing live again. But that being said, I do feel like my voice is matured, and I feel like I've been sculpting at it and tapping into like certain areas of it, and slowing down and being less afraid of holding notes. And when I used to busk on the waterfront, I kind of, it was great because I got my fingers strong, got my repertoire really wide. But every time somebody walks by, you had to like rip constantly and sing constantly to kind of like make your money. So it kind of taught me some bad habits, and then you got to unlearn those and like chill a little bit and breathe. And I feel like people respond to that better.
Well, I think you really slowed down. I think you're breathing a whole lot better because you are holding a lot better notes. Right, you're singing. You're definitely singing with a deeper resonance in your core. You know, you're sounding a whole lot cleaner. Yes, I got to admit, I did love the scream, but I love the softness now that you've found. Mm-hmm. And there's a certain spot in your voice that is just so sweet. It's a little bit in the higher side, and I was just like, wow. I don't know if I put a note down what song it was, but it was just, for me, it was fantastic.
Well, thank you. That means a lot to me because I know that you're on the scene a lot. Every festival I go to, we run into each other. Well, so I know you see a lot of musicians, and I know you appreciate a lot of music. So thank you.
Well, I mean, you know, music has been the thing that has just kept me alive. The other thing is that is you playing keys, right?
No, not on this time. To be honest, because I was pregnant while we were doing this, Blake really took the reins on a lot of things. Not the keys, but we had Ketty and Pete do the keys. And so for this one, I just didn't do any piano, but I am working on some piano for the next one. Okay.
I was wondering because, well, we're there. So I'm just going to say the keys on this was spectacular.
They're pretty badass, I gotta admit myself. I don't normally play any kind of organ or anything. There was only one time I ever played organ, and it was at a Roadhammer show. Do you know the Roadhammers?
Yeah.
They're a cool band, and I went and he asked if I wanted to play a show with them, and it was only a couple of weeks away too, and I was like, yes. And he's like, have you ever played like B3? And I was like, no, but I can learn. And so I ended up playing a little bit of guitar and a little bit of piano and then a whole bunch of organ and a little bit of singing and backups. But it was so much fun. But it was the one time I pushed myself to learn it. And I felt like I was a pretty quick study. But unless you actually have something to shoot for, it's harder to get your hands on the proper gear. But we are building a jam spot, like a studio in our basement as we speak. We've always had a rehearsal space. So I think eventually that'll be one of the pieces of gear that we can hopefully fit there. Like once we're done, we'll find out. But if that's the case, then I'll be able to hone in on that a little bit. but I also have people that do it really well. So I don't really have to.
Yeah, we're blessed that we've got the musicians that we do have around us, that if you need to call somebody in, then you can. Well, I got to tell you, every single musician that I heard, and we're going to get a little bit more into that as we get into talking here, but every single bit on every song on this was just it. There was things about it that separated it from anything that's out there or around it, anything like it. There was one song took me back to the 70s, and that's pretty hard to do because I don't remember a whole lot about them, but there was a lot of reverb in this, and it was kind of like, it reminded me of a Friday night I had. But it was a really, really good Friday night. No, Fool for You, I think it was. No, Whiskey Train. I said Whiskey Train was a good shout out to the 70s.
Yeah.
I really liked that. I found it really, really funky. And the whiskey on the brain part, that just reminded me that I know somebody that likes whiskey. I won't mention her name, but so now with regards to the singing and the arrangements and everything like that, in about a minute we're going to go to break here and we're going to listen to a tune. My producer Alex, he's going to figure out which one that is because of times and all of that stuff. But we're going to talk about a few of the songs. Like I said, got to feel it. Just the very first 3-4 notes of that song for me was bam, like wake up, like.
I mean, that's why we chose it for the first tune on the record, because it just seemed like with a song like that, where do you put it? And it was like you need to open it with that. So
yeah, that's perfect because that says, "Hello, wake up, we're here, get ready, we got something to give you."
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. Ladies and gentlemen, wake up, get ready, because we got something to give you. Blake Johnston, Christine Campbell's newest CDs coming at you right now. So stick around on the Wolf's Den. You're listening to 97.5, the home of East Coast music. And we're going to bring you Blake and Christine right now at the home of East Coast music.
You smell like honey, but you leave a bad aftertaste. You come like the sun, but you leave me in the clouds with a headache. Well, just so you know, I don't need you anymore, and I ain't coming back. Starting tomorrow, just had to see you one last time. You're sweet.
Welcome back to the Wolf's Den, ladies and gentlemen, and Wolf's Den Radio on YouTube. Today we've got Blake Johnston and Christine Campbell on Zoom with us. I'd like to say they're in the studio with us, but we're talking about their self-titled album. And like they said, this started before COVID all got crazy, got kind of put on hold. I'll tell you what, it's like a sweet wine and a good aged wine. It was nice that it sat on the shelf for a little while because, man, oh man, are you ever going to enjoy it when you hear it? Guys, like I said earlier, I enjoyed every single note of the CD. Leave Me Hanging. Who are the backup singers?
That's me.
And
That's you.
Yeah, it's Chris and I. But the woo-hoo-hoo, that's a male.
Oh my goodness, Christine, what were you doing to him? That's pretty
he
high,
had
buddy.
to sit in a really firm chair and tuck the undercarriage up.
I guess he did. I didn't know you could get up that high there, buddy.
Yeah, it's falsetto, so it's kind of fake, but it does the trick on the recording. So.
Blake can sing
Wow.
And also, there's I don't know if you can hear it so much on the recording, but there's also a lower one under there too, just the kind of pad that's more like.
Oh yeah. That's what I said. Backup singers.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well.
You know what I should do is get like a video where I'm singing, and then there's just like 3 Blakes in different outfits, and they're all standing around one mic.
Nice.
Like,
I love
the pips.
Yeah, and
I
just singing all
love that.
together. All the 3 vocals. That would be kind of funny.
Well done.
Thank you.
Very well done. I'm
you.
here to tell you, you guys are just all kinds of surprises here today.
Yeah.
Oh my. Now, Christine, speaking of vocals on that same song, you went back to that smoky bluesy voice. I think in the third verse, it was like, to me, it was like, oh, I like that.
Care to comment? Yeah, I feel like you needed a little bit of a climactic area, and it's funny, the song itself, we kind of talked about this before. I wasn't super happy with the lyrics at the beginning because they didn't really convey the message of what the song was about, because it was kind of a darker, like, I've lost a couple of partners, like a couple of my past boyfriends have died. And so it was kind of like, it was about not wanting to be the one left behind this time. So if something happens to us, I want to be the one to go first, and I never conveyed.
I get to remarry this time as
Yeah. Listen,
mind you, that was before Harley. Now I just want to live as long as I possibly can. But it was just, and so I kept writing it over and over. But it just never came out. The words that I rewrote a few times meant a lot more, made more sense, but it just didn't flow. So we just went back with the other one. But of course, there's that emotion in the middle, and I like it too that people just take songs to mean whatever they think it means, and then relate it in their own way.
we were real specific though on as much as, to me, the album feels like it feels loose. It feels like a good time, but got to feel it, or Don't Leave Me Hanging. They're not insanely upbeat as far as tempo wise, but you can sway to them. Like, it's a good time feel. You can put it on while you're on the back deck, and it's kind of got a bop to it. But we were very specific about, all the parts, any of the guitar parts. There was not a whole lot that was, I don't mean it wasn't spontaneous, but everything was well thought out. If we laid something down, it was like, is that good? Is that the best that it could be there? And I remember Christine doing the vocals for this song, and we kind of agonized over a few different parts of it. And there were several different verses or choruses that were re-recorded. And so we poured over it. It wasn't, and
we kind of went back to the beginning.
We walked away eventually, just like, you know what, we've got to wrap this up here. And because we could spend all day kind of picking apart each little word or each little line, but we were very deliberate about it. We tried not to leave anything, even if we walked away and we're like, this is all we can do. We still spent the time trying to pour over it and make sure everything was as close to the way we wanted it as we could get there with our time and with our budget. So
overthink a lot. So I think this time we were trying to overthink as little as possible in order to get that feel.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've known Christine and Blake. I've known you guys for quite a while, and Christine, I've known from other projects that you've done that you are one of those people that you want what you want, and you know, and you're not really going to be happy until you get that. But
it's true.
but I really, that song to me, I really love the way your voice came together in that. I love the way the whole arrangement come. I wrote down Blake's guitar, the backup singers, and the smoky voice in that last verse or last part of the song. It was just, yeah, for me, it tied it all together. It just made it a full package. So heavy. Another, like, again, a song that, you know, like, for me, it was like you were trying to tell me something, because the beat in that, it goes with the song. The song's called So Heavy, and the beat of that song, like, is heavy. It's a heavy song. And I don't really know any other way to describe it. The percussion, the drumming in it is great, but again, it's very substantial. It's meaty. Like, I don't know, was that deliberate and Blake, I really liked the singing on that as well.
Thank you. The drumming was definitely, Cirque and Sewer played the drums on all the record, all the percussion. And he plays with a lot of people around town, and his background is more, I guess, prog rock, and he even has a bit of a jazz background. And so when we were going in to record, I was honest with Cirque too. I said, like, I don't know how this is going to go, this style that we're trying to kind of zero in on here. I wasn't sure how he was going to handle being in the studio with it. And I mean, he knocked it out of the park, when I say much to my surprise, I don't mean that because I think less of him as a musician. In fact, he's one of the better musicians that we work with. Like, Cirque is
attitude too,
and he's got a theoretical background. He can chart. As a drummer, he's a fully formed musician.
Yes,
and he did really well. Like, there were certain songs where, again, just style-wise, it was something very specific that I was looking for, and he's capable of being a very busy drummer. He's got all the tools.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's a couple songs where it was like, I just want you to do this. All I care about is the groove. You're So Heavy was one of those. Don't Leave Me Hanging. Bittersweet was another one where it was just very specific about the groove, and it sounds easy, but it's like, can you play a rock solid groove without it varying, without it falling off for 3 or 4 minutes straight?
Yeah,
that's so much harder than it is to fill a song with all kinds of other stuff. And man, did he ever live up to it. Like, I was super impressed and just thankful at the end of it that he was a big part of the reason why the record sounds and feels the way it does.
Yeah, well, like I said, one of the very first things that I noticed about that song was the drumming and the heaviness of it. And you're right as far as it goes about his drumming abilities. I've seen him with you guys. I've seen him with other people. He's got an amazing attitude.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's a great, great guy. He's a pleasure and a treat to be around. And I can imagine to work with him, he would be the same way, because, I mean, when I've seen him, it's been sometimes it's a work environment, and then sometimes it's like doing an interview, and he's been there and he's been a part of it. So, you know, there's the work side of it, but there's the social side of it too. And he's always, for my dollar, he's always been a stand-up guy, right?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
He always is. I've never heard him say a bad thing about anybody. He's always very positive, which is great. And, like, we do this at the end of the day because it's fun and we enjoy it. And sometimes you can even get caught up in work, and it's so important to keep that positivity there and leave drama and everything at the door, because it's contagious, and you want it to be a synergy of positivity, and you'll be more productive because of it too.
Well, you want it to be fun, not work, right?
Yeah.
You know, you want to come.
Story too. I mean, Cirque, I don't know, he was mid to late 30s, moves to a completely different country.
Really?
And has to figure out how to make it work. upon meeting him and getting to play with him, he's definitely one of those people that has had a largely positive effect on me, as far as like, he's a great example of, with a good attitude and a great work ethic, as well as having the skills to pay the bills. That's how you go and get work for yourself. And again, he's always with Cirque, you never have to worry about baggage or bullshit with him. He brings just positivity to the table. And again, a great work ethic. And he's an example. Anybody, you want to know how to get into a band, go hang out and talk with him and get his point of view, because you'll take a lot from him. His story is inspiring.
I do also want to say, like, all our band members are great. Like, they're really skilled musicians, and I feel like it's like a video game profile. Each has different strengths, and it's kind of funny like how it does work, but they all bring something different to the table.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's it. It brings that kind of synergy to you, that everybody fits in and everybody, the chain is only as good as the link, or the weakest link. And when everybody pulls together and the chain is tight and it's holding, you know that you're there. Yeah. So did you say overtime or undertime? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go. My producer's telling me I'm overtime, so we're going to go and we're going to listen to another song from Mr. Blake Johnston and Miss Christine Campbell right here on the Wolf's Den at CIOE 97.5, the home of East Coast music.
I used to believe in
welcome back to the Wolf's Den, ladies and gentlemen. Blake Johnston and Christine Campbell in with us today, and we're getting a treat listening to their new CD. Guys, I tell you, it's been a crazy, crazy year. Now, Christine, you said this all started, this CD started pretty much before the pandemic really came along, and you had a lot of this stuff done. You guys had a lot of this done. Just refresh my memory now.
So basically, we were going to release this a year ago, and because of the pandemic, we delayed it. It was like it would have fallen on deaf ears if we had have released it then. Plus, I mean, it does take money to release. We did raise $10,000, not including all the expenses taken away, but we still rely heavily on touring and getting the exposure and the money from that to help push the album. So we decided we'd wait another year, which was great actually, because we had a baby. So it was, we were able to just take that time and spend it with Harley. And then I was able to kind of recuperate, and I feel, and we moved into our new place, and I feel much better now. I'm so ready to play again. And even though there was a little phase in between the first two waves where we had a few gigs, that was it. And then it just closed down again. And even our release dates this time got canceled. So had we released it, a year ago, it just would have been forever before we really could have done anything to give it any kind of real push. So we're happy we released it. We know it's still a little anticlimactic with everything that's going on, but we're already starting to write the other tunes. In terms of the production, we did it with Ocean Floor and SLR Studios in Windsor, Ontario. Blake produced the majority of it. I produced some of it, and particularly the vocals. And yeah, I guess, and it's very old school, late 70s or 60s and 70s, really.
Yeah. Now, Blake, you really got yourself to a point where you really got into the production side of this, didn't you? You knew what you wanted to go on.
I knew I didn't want anybody else. I have no idea what I'm doing behind the glass. I mean, I don't. I'm making everything up as I go, but I was sure that I didn't want anybody else. If anybody was going to screw this up, it was going to be us two, kind of thing. That's what I just wanted, the responsibility on us. I knew what I didn't want. I thought I had an idea of what I did want. I just didn't know how to get there. But with the help of Charles and Frank at Ocean Floor, I mean, I learned a ton in the making of this record, as far as having to describe the sound, the feel that I wanted, and then going about trying to get that. But yeah, I just knew that, again, I wanted, I mean, we put our life savings into this record. We raised all the money throughout the campaign with ourselves. I mean, people have helped, but at the end of the day, like, this whole thing is on Christine and I. Nobody else did this. I mean, for the most part, the organizations around music or around Nova Scotia, nothing against them, but we haven't had a ton of backing or support from those organizations. And I don't mean that in a way of like, it's just, it is what it is. We haven't got a ton of grants from those situations or organizations. So we really tried to invest everything we had in this. And that, to me, went down to the production as well. I wanted to be at the reins and see what can we accomplish.
And that's not to say that we haven't had some, because
yeah, of course,
and particularly in the last couple of years, there was a little bit more help. So I don't want to go out on that note, but yeah, typically speaking, we've kind of traditionally been on the outskirts and had to really rely on our super fans to thrive.
I don't mean that as a slight to any of the organizations around here. We tend to be from a musical genre that it's just not heavily represented around here, and it's not a genre of music that is I think real as far as the financial setting goes. It's just not as lucrative of a genre around here. So the focus tends to get put on other things, and I'm okay with that. But at the end of the day, again, it was like, look, if we're investing our savings into this, we're fundraising on our own. All the time that we've invested in this, like, we're really hanging it out there on the line. I just, again, our victories are our victories, and we'll obviously share them with the people that helped, but our failures are our own too. And I just wanted that to, again, including the production, I wanted to feel like this was on us, so that at the end of the day,
you have to play every role. You have to play, your accountant and your booking agent, and you advance the shows, and you put the band together for rehearsal, and you're playing producer. You're wearing a lot of hats, and you're just like praying that somehow the money works out. And to be honest, just having that leap of faith has always somehow worked out, but a lot of times that every single release is a leap of faith.
She was pregnant for the recording, so it's like, that's another thing to have an in-house producer, somebody coming in from the outside and saying, I think you should play this different, I think you should sing this different, and she's 6 months pregnant, hormonal. Like, I just feel like it was the right way. Well, it is what it is, right? Like, we're being serious here.
I was sleepy. I wasn't very hormonal.
Watch it, buddy. Watch it, mister.
Fair enough.
Light.
You were talking about you were going to be around to remarry. With comments like that might not happen.
Might happen sooner than later.
I don't think you have anything to worry about when it comes to failures on this, because the only failures would be places where you guys thought you could have done better, but they wouldn't have been failures anyway. This is a knockout of the park, guys. And I would suggest this to you. Pick a single, pick one that you want to really flog, and get it into CIOE's top 30. Get people voting on it. Get some buzz going out there on this CD. Okay? Man, oh man, I hope we get back to live music.
Yeah.
I miss hanging with you guys backstage.
I know.
Yeah.
I love seeing you. I'm like, hey, it's Wayne. And it's like, you like familiar days at the office. You like Kevin from accounting and whoever, right? We don't have that, but the familiarity is nice. So when you get like your super fans and you see like your favorite sound guys and like you, it's always like such a treat. So you instantly feel more comfortable. And then I feel a little bit more comfortable on stage. The sound's a little bit more familiar. Everything, I don't have to worry about that stuff. And it's a little bit more easygoing, and I can do what I do.
It's like a high school reunion you look forward to going to every summer. Like, it's like, it's a big reuniting with all kinds of people that you don't get to see for 6 to 8 months of the year.
Now, anyway, particularly in the East Coast. And that's what it is. It takes a few times, and then eventually you kind of, it's nice. It's extra nice because you just see those familiar faces.
It is. I love pulling up to a festival and seeing the sound guy's truck there, and knowing as soon as you see the truck, you know who it is, right? Yeah. And it's like, oh yes, I'm going to get to work with them again. Awesome. I can't wait. Because like you said, once you've worked with people and you know how things go, it makes it every like, I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to worry about that. That's all taken care of, And
it's easier to like ask somebody questions and figure it out totally.
Yeah. But I mean, for me, I love it when people show up and I say, where the green room is, and there's, there's stuff in the fridge for you. If you need anything, come here or that. I love it when that happens. And I love it when I go somewhere and I see the sound crew and I go, okay, so I know how my day's going to go today. Yeah. I know how my turns are going to go because I know how these guys work, and I know that we're going to have a great festival. So
it definitely makes it easier to do what we do when you're changing venues and places so much. Sound and things like that can vary. So familiar faces and a good working rapport, whether it's with the sound guys, the MC, the promoter, the whoever's doing the organizing and wrangling backstage. Like, when you know the people and you have that rapport, it makes every part of the experience so much fun. And we're really missing it.
Yeah.
Oh man, tell me about it. I mean, you guys get to play music and you get to jam and stuff like that. I mean, I was telling somebody the other day, MCing in the shower really sucks. The audience is just really flat.
Yeah.
But and I miss doing benefits. And listen, on that note, thank you guys. This is going to be a little bit gone now, but thank you for being the headliners at Joshua's event. You don't have any idea how much that means to my heart, because Eddie Levick is so dear to me and means so much to me. And with him just coming through COVID and giving up the money that he could have used to get his life back on track, said, no, please do the benefits for Joshua. So thank you guys for stepping up and being our headliners for this event. I know that it probably, now that you guys are parents, it probably hits a little bit closer to home. This little boy was going along, living his life normal every day until his grandmother felt a lump, and then his whole world changed. So we're going to sit back. We're going to relax. We're going to take in a little bit more from Christine and Blake right here on their new CD. And we'll be back with you right here at CIOE 97.5 after we tickle our ears. Welcome back to the Wolf's Den, ladies and gentlemen. We're having a great conversation with Blake Johnston and Christine Campbell right here in the Wolf's Den on CIOE 97.5, the home of East Coast music. And we just listened to another one of their tunes. Now, guys, Whiskey Train. We mentioned this just a little bit briefly at the very beginning of the conversation, but Whiskey Train to me was kind of like a little shout out to the 70s for my blood.
Well, they kind of all are, to be honest. They're all 60s, 70s inspired. But Whiskey Train is actually the only one on the album that it was just a remake because of a tune that I wrote a long time ago, and I did it. And a bunch of friends kind of asked me to, I should say friends, fans and friends, just like that tune. I played it a lot, and over time, people just asked enough that I was like, all right, I'll do a remake of it. I was going to do an intro for it, but I didn't make it because that when COVID hit, we were like, okay, there's just no time. The song's fine as it is, but there was a couple little parts, including that one, that didn't make it on. But yeah, it's definitely Hendrix inspired, totally 70s. That's pretty much where my brain lives. But I do try to be inspired by today, because I know it's important to grow, and because you can only listen to certain records so many times. You have to open your mind a little bit, but I'm always going to be an old soul no matter what.
Yeah, like, I mean, I was born and raised on rock and roll, you know, like, I mean, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, all that stuff, Alice Cooper. I mean, that stuff was coming out as it was being produced. We were buying it up and eating it like candy. And I loved it. And I loved it. And it was magic. But you know what? I mean, the thing is, I can only hear Stairway to Heaven so many times in the run of a year before I'd like to hear something different. And I mean, again, like I already said to you guys earlier, this for me is something completely and something totally different from you guys. And bringing into that is the next song, Fool for You. Now, for me, this was a great song for the two of you. Your voices went together so well on this song. And for some people, that might be like, are you kidding me? That might be just, you know, because you both have a very distinct sound. Mm-hmm. But Fool for You, I think should be just like a little anthem for you guys, because to me, it spoke so much of, you know, Christine, you say people take a song and make it what they think it is. To me, it's a beautiful love song for the two of you. You know, no, it is. To me, it's like a reflection of you guys, because I knew both of you guys before you were you guys. You know, before you guys were together, I knew both of you, and then I kind of watched you come together and wondered in my head, where's this going to lead? And, you know, and excited for the opportunity to see where it would go. And so Fool for You to me is like, every time I hear you guys do that song, I'm just going to think of you as a couple.
I'll take that. Yeah. It's funny that I sort of look at, I mean, Christine does most of the singing on the record, and she does the backups in "You're So Heavy," which I think are great, but there's a different kind of backup in that song. But the singing that she does in "Fool for You" is sort of like, I compare it to when I was playing in the first band that was in the Stogies. We played as a 4-piece for probably 2 or 3 years, and then we added a keyboard player, Jason Kenny, to the band. And as soon as we started hearing our music with organ, with Hammond, to me, it like legitimized it. Just made it sound like rock and roll. It was like all the stuff I heard on Stones records or the Black Crowes, or like hearing that texture made it sound like now we're a real rock and roll band. So the way Chris sings over a song like that, Fool for You, when I'd done some recordings a few years ago, I did a song called Can't Stop Loving You that was kind of an R&B soul tune, and Christine sang similar backups on that song. And for me, it's like her voice is like an organ.
Joe Cocker songs too.
Yeah, it immediately kind of cements it in a certain genre that like, that's the sound. That's what this song needs, is like that female vocal that's just kind of wailing in the background. That it's not harmony. She's kind of, it's like her soloing, singing over top of what I'm doing. And to me, it immediately like, that's.
I love singing that way. Like I always want to be part of the front of the band, you know, like one of the leaders, but I've always wanted a co-partner that I could sing and play guitar with. That was my ultimate dream. That was really tough to find for a very long time. And so singing backup, there's like a freeing thing, because it's just, that's your head voice when you're up there too. Like you can sing for days, and I'm not the lead vocalist, so I can take breaths whenever I want, and I can do trills, and I can hit notes much easier whenever I'm not in the forefront there, and I can sing that high in that head voice. So to me, it's like, I love it. It's very much like old school backup vocals. They're just easier with the woman. Like Blake does great backup vocals, but there is something to be said about me backing him up.
Oh, for sure. I love soul music, and now a lot of this record for me was kind of I was envisioning it like a soul rock record. Any influences that I had from Jimi Hendrix or Lenny Kravitz, as well as stuff like Sam and Dave and Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings, and stuff that was like trying to make rock and roll not too abrasive, but the soul and R&B influence not too easy listening, trying to kind of go up through the middle. And Christine's voice makes me sound like a better soul singer. Like, it adds some credibility to where otherwise, if it was just me singing, you might say, well, this song would probably be better if, say, Wilson Pickett was singing it, which I would agree with you. But when Christine starts singing over back of me, then it's like, oh, there it is. That's what we
It
need
sounds
there,
great
so.
on your own, but it's a song that's supposed to be like that,
Well,
I think.
Yeah, ice cream in a bowl by itself is good, but when you put some good toppings in with it, it makes it even better.
I couldn't have said it better myself. So yeah.
Great analogy.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm sounding like a broken CD. I say record because, but some young people don't know what they are. Well, I guess they might now. I just love everything about this. Like, I really think that you guys just came into your own so well here.
Well, and we're going to release it a year ago, but I'm really glad that we didn't because of COVID, because it really would have fallen on deaf ears. So we waited for the year to pass, and it was good anyway because I had like my time with Harley. Like, I just COVID came right after my last gig. I was it wasn't Blake's last, but I did one gig in my my very last month, and then everything shut down. So the album got delayed, and then I just had some time to be a mom and recover. And I'm so glad that I had that time, and we're so ready to play again. But with the last shutdown again, it was very anticlimactic in that sense because it did shut down our release shows once again. So I'm glad we released the album because we've already got tunes for the next one coming up pretty ready to go. But we are looking forward to getting back and doing the show dates at the Carlton and the Trailside and others to be announced just at the website, campbellandjohnstonmusic.com.
Perfect. Because I was going to ask you that anyway. You know what? Look, I can't wait to see you guys back performing live. One of the highlights of my summer, festivals. I want festivals back so bad. And I hope that if they do come back, I'm praying that you guys are on the bill, but a few of them that I'm at. How can people reach out to you, please?
How can we reach this? Really, social media, Facebook is like my favorites way to connect with people. A lot of people just send messages that way. It's Campbell and Johnston now, not Christine Campbell anymore. But the website really, I guess, is the main thing. Campbellandjohnstonmusic.com, and Johnston with a T. But it has links to our Facebook, our Instagram, and we're very interactive. We raised money for our album. We're in the middle of sending out bundles to people that bought those perks. We were a bit delayed with that as well. At least we all have the same excuse for everything. Anything that has COVID. But things are this week being sent out. Release dates are being rescheduled. I feel like the light is at the end of the tunnel. And I know we've all been cooped up, and I never missed being around people so much. I miss my parents and PEI. And the silver lining of this all, I think we're just all going to appreciate live music a lot more. We're going to appreciate each other's company a lot more. And I'm never going to take it for granted ever again. I never lost my love for it, but I certainly use this time to really revitalize it to its full potential.
Yes, and I agree with you 100%. I can't wait till we can get back to doing what we do. It's been a hard couple of years. I haven't been able to do anything. You guys haven't been able to do anything. I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to spend a little bit of it with me. And,
it's a pleasure.
Thank you.
And I hope that we do get to spend some time around a campfire this summer and a nice cold beer. And,
I would love that.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you can get out to see these guys when they go play, get out. If not, get online, go and buy the material directly from them. Buy it off of their website so you're dealing with them and they're making the money. And you know what? We're getting to a point, maybe where we're going to slowly get back to whatever we call normal. So in the meantime, be nice to one another. Be kind, because it doesn't take a whole lot. Ken Tobias tells you, give a little love. I say the same thing. Thanks for stopping in. We'll catch you next week right here at the Wolf's Den and Wolf's Den Radio. Take care, peace out, and thanks for stopping by.